With the MCP server now created and tested, and we can see that it functions properly, the next step is for us to now publish it as an Azure app service so that we will be able to leverage it inside of Foundry. And now, the same way that Visual Studio Code that we just saw was able to connect to this MCP agent and we were able to use it, that same pattern is possible from Foundry or really anywhere else. The key thing that you have to do is you have to have your MCP server in a location where when it's configured and connected to, it's able to make those calls, as you saw here in our local host environment. So we can start this step first by going to portal.azure.com, and we are going to go into a resource group called demonstrations, and we're basically going to create a new resource in here, which essentially is an app service. So let's go to app services, create. We want a web app, and we're going to pick demos, and we're going to call it Funny MCP Server. We want the runtime stack to be .NET 10, but we are going to use East 2. We'll keep it at free, which is 60 minutes a day. This should be fine. And then let's go through. I don't think we really need anything else. So I just went through and started the creation process. One change that I did have to make is that I had to switch over to US Central because I don't have any more quota inside of US East. But with that basically done, I have my free web application running, and I can click in here, and this should take me to the sample demo page, which is this funny MCP server, this URL. So the next thing that we now want to do is we want to publish our MCP Funny agent into the web app that we just created. So we're just going to click on publish. And we just want a Windows app service. And inside of demos, here's my funny MCP server. And this is the fully created environment ready to be published. And to publish, I basically just click on publish. So this is now published, and I can now navigate to that URL, which we also see here by simply clicking on navigate, and that just takes me in here. This is the default Hello World, whatever application that's there. So before we move on to going into Foundry as a final step, what we're now going to do is actually go in here and add another MCP server in here. Let's actually get rid of this guy and let's add a server. And in this case now, our URL is going to be this full URL /MCP. Okay, so that's running, and as you can see, it's still showing the 4 tools. So if I actually open this guy up and I go over to my funny MCP remote, you see that it's the same 4 tools that are there. And I can essentially do the same thing now pointing against that remote server. Note that funny agent is not running. It stopped. So I'm going to ask it a little bit more complicated question. So you can see that it's now telling me what Saturday is. And you can see that here's the call that's using to determine that. If I say allow, here you go. You got your temperature. Now, everything we've done up to this point as it relates to creating agents and working with agents have been from the perspective of, again, that selective reasoning happening at the application side. What we're going to work on now is simplifying the process a bit and letting the selective reasoning, at least the combination of tools and behaviors, happen on the server side, right, inside of Foundry. And then we just connect to Foundry and ask it questions without worrying about which tools are connected to it, which tools are not connected to it. So basically, using it how it was just used inside of GitHub Copilot. So to get this going, we're going to have to create an agent. And the easiest way to create an agent, besides just going up there and saying create agent, is to come down into the models view inside of build. And then from within here, click on this tools and then basically say model context protocol, right? So what that's going to do is it's going to start up by creating the agent for you and then, get it all going. So for example, here, funny agent one. So I create that agent now. And if you go back into your agents, if I go back here, you'll see that funny agent one has been created. So we now have our funny agent, and right now it's just GPT-4.1. So what can we do with it? Well, tell me a joke, and you're just gonna get the generic jokes that are coming directly from the model. Tell me another joke. What is the weather like tomorrow? Can't provide that information. What day is it? June 12th, 2024. What time is it? Doesn't have that information. So this is the same generic uh, chat GPT model that we were accessing from our console application. And now we're just accessing it in the playground, only it's been turned into an agent. So what is the value of an agent? Well, if there are additional behavior that you want to connect to your model, whether it be additional data or MCP servers or whatever, you add it all to the model, all in one place, all on the server side, and every single um, client application that's leveraging your agent is able to gain access to everything that you're doing. Not to mention the fact that you can actually take your agent and publish it into, again, some kind of app store, whether it be in Teams or just an agent store and in Office 365, Copilot, all these different venues where you're able to publish it. So, what we're going to do right now that we're done converting this into an agent is we're going to add the MCP server that we just published. And if you go to tools, add, and you're going to say new tool. And then from in here, you have your catalog of tools that you can add. We're going to go to custom and we're going to select model context protocol. And so we're going to go through the same process, almost like what we did inside of Visual Studio Code. Just call it Funny Agent MCP. And of course, it's slash MCP. And authentication is not authenticated, so we're not going to worry about that for now. And all we have to do now is simply click connect. And we can save that. And then from here, we can just ask it the same questions we've been asking it before. You can see that it's doing the same thing. It's calling our application, our MCP tool, and we have to actually approve it. And you're getting the date. This is using the server time, so on the server, it might already be tomorrow. What is the time? Doing the same thing, getting the approvals. And we have telling a joke. And again, you go to tell the joke. And then finally, was the temperature on Monday. And you can see it's doing get weather and it's passing in that date. And when I approve that, you can see that the temperature is provided. And again, we have that emergent way of being able to combine different services together. In this case, the AI is combining different tools together to be able to create the same exact kind of behavior that we saw when we were running a local agent now on the cloud.